So Pierce Morgan finally debated Nick Fuentes, and I got to tell you, it was a very long debate, and it was wild. Like this debate was wild. I saw a side of Pierce Morgan that I've never seen before, because some of the things that he said I didn't think he would say, but he did. But it was wild. And I think that when we go over parts of this, because we're obviously not going to sit here and do the whole thing, but when we go over parts of this, I think it's really important that people need to remember something. Just because someone speaks out against Israel and what Israel is doing, and Nick Fuentes obviously takes that to another step where I do not. I'm not criticizing an entire group of people. There are a lot of people that are Jewish, that are anti-Zionist, that are pro-Palestine, fighters that are part of the pro-Palestinian movement. And you've seen many of them come on this show. So I don't like these blanket statements that he makes about all these different groups. It is important to remember that just because someone speaks out against one type of supremacy doesn't mean at the same time they're not advocating for another type of supremacy. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of people have been duped by Nick Fuentes. Let's go ahead and get into this first part here. I broke this up into different categories. This one, I believe, let me come back out 1 second. Sorry, I have this written down. Oh yeah, this one I believe is the part about, is it the black people first? I think so. Here we go.
Just remind me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage you gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No. Less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder. That's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say 1 in 20 will eventually commit a murder.
So your rate means that you're saying that 5 times as many black men commit murder as the official crime statistics say.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming than you would think.
Okay, but you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100, or you wouldn't accept that statistic?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about a year ago. It said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, that's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
sure,
this is
a lot of white
problem.
people commit murder too. Well, they do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people. And people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a much higher.
Let's pause here for a second. So a couple of things. One, black people are actually higher than 13% of the population. A lot of people keep repeating that statistics, but Marcel Dixon explained this and broke this down on the show. I think it was like 2 years ago. We're actually higher than 13% of the population. And the reason why a lot of people don't realize that is because the census and how it's tracked. So if you don't complete the census, then you're not tracked in it. So that's part of the problem. But we're actually higher than 13% of the population. But let's get into this crime thing, because I want to show you some of the data that I pulled up here. This part here, I think, is pretty interesting. A lot of people get this wrong. If you look this up, they did a fact check. Reuters did false data on U.S. racial murder rates. So check this out. There was an image that lists the following categories: whites killing blacks 2%, police killing whites 3%, whites killing whites 16%, blacks killing whites 81%, police killing blacks 1%, and blacks killing blacks 97%. No dates are specified, and the data is attributed to stats from Wikipedia. But check this out. In the homicide section of Wikipedia's race and crime in the U.S. entry, the site quotes a report from the U.S. Department of Justice. And the report says that homicide trends in the U.S. between 1980 and 2008 found within that period, most murders were intraracial, with 84% of white victims killed by whites and 93% of Black victims killed by Black perpetrators. According to the FBI's expanded homicide data from 2018, the most recent report of this kind that Reuters was able to find, 80.7% of the murders of white people were committed by white offenders. This is important for later on too, when he gets to that another part about this. While 15.5% of the murders of white people were committed by Black offenders. What this shows you is that most white people that are murdered were murdered by other white people, and vice versa. I want to show you something else. A lot of that has to do with segregation, because people are usually in certain communities here. Let's go ahead and bring in this one. We will also look at the number of murders. This one goes back to 2023. The number of murder offenders in the United States by race. If you look at the data, let me pull this out here. This is what Piers Morgan was talking about. For white people, it said 8,842. This is 2023. As far as I could find back so recently. For Black people, 6,405, unknown, 5,796, 461 other. So when it comes to murders, the number of murder offenders, according to the data, shows that there were more white people that were offenders than Black people. I want to show you another one, or maybe we'll wait till we get to that one. Maybe we'll come into that one in just a second. That's why Piers Morgan is saying that. So there's different data and different statistics, but the reality is, because Nick Fuentes says this later on, that he doesn't want to get killed by the Black people that are around him or whatever. But the data shows most white people are killed by other white people. And that's because of segregation. People are in certain like bubbles, and there's different groups here and there. So it's important to know that. But let's continue back into this part here.
Property tax.
Most mass shootings.
What's with the interruptions?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look at in Chicago, in New York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less Black neighborhood, because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
Who did Jordan Neely kill? Who did Jordan Neely kill on the subway? He didn't, right? He was also someone that had mental health, bad examples. The examples that he gave there are people who were dealing with mental health issues. This is something I've been trying to show people before about Nick Fuentes. He picks out certain examples that fit his argument, but he doesn't go into the details and the specifics about those examples. So, for example, with the case of Daniel and Jordan Neely was someone that had mental health issues, and Jordan Neely actually didn't kill anyone. He said he was screaming he was going to do stuff, but he actually didn't. Daniel Perry killed Jordan Neely. With the case of the other woman that he was mentioned that was killed by the Black guy in Chicago on the bus, that guy also had mental health issues. So to not mention that, you see what I mean? How that can be deceiving? That's important for people to hear. Let's go on a little bit more here.
You've also said you don't want to live near Black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around Blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home Black people to marry.
How is that a new generation of white people? A lot of neighborhoods in the United States are segregated. Do people not realize this? You see how it's easy to fall for this stuff? If you look at a lot of the major cities, including the one that Nick Fuentes lives in, Chicago has hyper segregation. I talked about this before in my documentary about Boston. Boston has segregation. It has been getting a little bit better, but it is still very much segregated. Detroit, Milwaukee, we can go down the list, ladies and gentlemen. So What does he mean? Like new? What are you talking about? So we don't have the Jim Crow laws anymore, but the United States is still very segregated. But people just listen to that and they just fall for it.
It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes. But you're basically saying, yeah, I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying you're a racist?
Totally. I think everybody's racist. I think everybody, if we're being honest, is racist. I think everybody, the only people that aren't racist or pretend not to be are white people to their detriment.
So let me show you this little trick that's being used here, right? And then we'll go to that other graph that I wanted to show you. This is a trick that's used by people like Nick Fuentes, where if someone asks him if he's racist, he goes, well, yeah, but I think everybody is. That's a trick. That's to make it seem like the way that they feel or how their views aren't that bad. If you say that everybody is that way, number one, that's an exaggeration. Number two, that's not true. But a lot of people fall for this. And there's a lot of younger people that listen to Nick Fuentes and they believe these things that he says. You see how he kind of does that? So that doesn't actually need to be added to the conversation. He asked you a yes or no question. If you were racist, the answer is really yes or no. But you have to add that other piece at the end to it to excuse your being that way. I don't know how people fall for this. Let's go back to, let me show you that chart that I was going to show you about he didn't want to live in the neighborhood. See, this is another thing because he feels he's like, well, the white people are da 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 da. But again, if you look at the data, white on white violence, as I've said before, most white people are killed by other white people. Most black people are killed by other black people because the United States is still very segregated. So this pushes back against everything that Nick just said when he talks about, I'm a new white person. I want to live around only white people. That's not new. It's just like people tend to think that when they go to some of these neighborhoods in like Brooklyn, some of the hipster neighborhoods in Brooklyn, people will go to these spots and they'll say, oh, that's the whole new America. And that's how it is across the country. It's not. I've been across the country. I've lived in different states. That's not the norm. And I've been trying to tell people this for years. Yes, there are pockets here and there where people, it's more diverse like areas and stuff like that. But when you travel across the United States, you will see the difference. It's not the norm. And the United States, unlike other countries, is a melting pot, right? So because the United States is a melting pot, I think one of the things, what is this? I don't know why that's there. What just happened here? Okay, that needs to be reset. Eric, I think you did something with that one there. Can you fix that? I don't know why that's not. Anyway, I'll go to the tab. Anywho, when something happens, let me pull this up here. When we talk about like these different communities here in the United States, people need to realize, no, that's not the norm. What you see in these hipster neighborhoods in Brooklyn is not the norm across the United States. And the problem is a lot of times people, they have not left their area. Maybe they haven't left their city. They haven't left their state, but I have traveled across the United States. So I'm here to tell you, America is supposed to be this melting pot. But when you compare America to other countries, you'll see the big difference. South Korea, for example, is a homogenous country. It's one of the most homogenous countries. So if you go to South Korea, you're not going to see as much diversity. This is the case for a lot of the world. The difference with America is that this is supposed to be a melting pot where you do have people from all over the world, different races, different, nationalities, all in one spot. However, even for those who come here, oftentimes people live in neighborhoods with their nationality. You can see it right here, and you can see it in New York. You can see it right here in Boston, where a lot of the Brazilians live in a certain part. A lot of people that are coming from South America live in East Boston. So that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, I'm a new white person. Like, shut the fuck up. Just shut up and sit down. Okay. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's go back to this part here.
Everybody else is racist.
But earlier in the interview, you really got aggrieved at the idea that your father was a racist. You wanted to make emphatically
because
sure
my father's.
He's not.
Because my father doesn't share my same views on that.
So he's the exception to everyone's a racist.
Well, everybody's a little bit racist. You're right. So maybe everybody. The difference is you're attacking my father. You know, he could get fired from his job.
I'm not attacking your father.
You are.
No, I'm not. I don't know your father. And to be clear, I have no knowledge about him at all. Well,
then let's leave him out of it. Let's leave him out of it if you don't know him.
Hang on, Nick.
That part I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have gone into the dad thing, but that does seem to be a touchy spot there for Nick Fuentes. But I wouldn't have brought people's parents into the conversation, if that makes sense. But I think he's making a point here.
You put that story into the public domain on your show. I'm simply reminding you of what you told everybody, millions of people, about your father. If you now want to retract it, fine. If you want to say it was a joke, which is what your position was earlier, fine. But I'm allowed to put to you things you've said publicly. That's not unfair. That's not me targeting your father. You put that story about him out
You know
there.
what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I'm asking you about a pretty shocking anecdote, which to me looked like you were saying your father made decisions about where you as a family would eat based on skin color of people who worked at these places. If you say, or use them, if you say that is not what you meant, that's fine. You can respond any way you like. But the idea I can't ask you about it without you saying I'm attacking your father is ridiculous.
Well, you are, and you know what you're doing. And there's a political culture in America where if you have the wrong views, you get fired from your job. And my father has a job. And if you go on here and say, you charge him with racism or something, and I'm put in a position where I don't look like I'm sticking to my guns if I don't say my father's a racist, you're putting him in jeopardy, and he's not here to defend himself or explain his views. And it's very low, and I think you know exactly what you're doing, and people can see what you're doing. I'll defend my views, and I think that, so let's leave him out of it. Let's just not talk.
Yeah, that seemed to be a touchy spot there. Let's go ahead here to the next part. I don't know why the tab, I'll just bring it up here. 43.
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Yay being one who you know. Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah.
Race is Hispanic.
Hispanic. Of course it's a race. It's called Hispanic.
It's a mix between two races. It's a mix between indigenous Americans
and Europeans.
It's not white, though, is it?
It's not white.
Well, you're more of a racial purist than me. You got like
not really. You just keep saying you only want to live in a white neighborhood, but you're literally from a mixed race background yourself. You've literally got Mexican blood.
I know, and I live in a non-white neighborhood too. I'm trying to get out of here though, but I'm trying.
But this is the part many people have brought up. What Piers Morgan said, he's like, you're against interracial marriage, but you are a product of that. And so this is the part that some people have pointed towards before. They're just like, dude, you saying all this supremacist stuff, but you're a product of that. So he admits that he is. However, what this also goes to show you, which I've said on this show before, and some people got mad, but now you start to see, it goes to show you that even some, and not all, but for some people who are Hispanic, when they want to claim white, they'll claim white. I've been telling people this. I had coworkers that also told me that when they fill out applications, they put that they're white. So do you see how that works, people? Okay, now we all get it. Let's continue.
Trying to get out, but here's the thing.
Do you have any non-white friends? Genuine question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people love my show.
How many are black?
The honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Yay being one who you know. Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah. And so how do they feel when you say you just want to be away from any black people, walk away from them?
Well, you know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said, that it doesn't come from a place of, and you use the word aversion. That's the first thing I'll actually dispute.
Okay.
So something happened here. I do want to tell you guys, because I saw this live, and for whatever reason, they must have gone back and they made some edits in between, because that wasn't me. So when I saw it live, it didn't jump like that. And now it is. So it seems like Pierce Morgan, they edited something there. So he goes on to talk about how he also has friends that, you know, are not white, and et cetera. And again, and I want to explain this to people. And this is the last time I'm going to talk about Nick Fuentes on this show, because I see what he's doing. This whole I got friends that are not white bullshit, that don't mean anything. That's just something he can point to so he can say, yeah, you know, yeah, everybody's racist, but you know, like everybody's a little bit racist. But look, I also got friends that are not white. It's buffoonery. It really is. And honestly, for those people that are his friends, that kind of contradicts a lot of things that he's been saying. If you only want to be around people who are like you, people that are white, why do you have friends that are not white? I don't understand how people fall for this bullshit. And people have been brainwashed by this and have been falling for this for years. I really don't get it. I don't get it.
It's not an aversion on the basis of skin color, because that would seem to suggest it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see this great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. You know, I don't think that's ever going away. I think that race is real. It's not just skin deep. It matters to us and it matters to each other. And black people know that, and Hispanics know that, and Asians know that. And people like me that have partial Mexican ancestry, we know that too. And I think on that basis, we can have mutual respect and understanding, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the word aversion is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see black people. That is an aversion to black people based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I feel, I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because
she sat down in front of a man that was mentally ill, that had mental health issues. Once again, he does not want to mention that part about it. So he says if he sees a black person, he needs to walk and turn and go the other way, because it's a safety issue. But the data shows, and this is why I say you got to bring the numbers back up, because the data shows, as I've told you time and time, most white people are killed by other white people. That's the data. Look it up. Look it up. So you running away from people who are less likely to harm you. Let's continue on. Ay, ay, ay. It's a mess. It's a mess. Where were we here? This one? Yeah.
was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him than die.
How many deranged?
So he wants you to focus on the race part and not the part about is a mental health crisis. And that's the grift of Nick Fuentes. And I imagine this is only going to last for so long, because every now and then a new person emerges and they get people to follow along with some type of like ideology. And a lot of people fall for it. And that's the sad part, is a lot of people fall for it. We'll continue a little bit more here. Then we're going to go to the women part. That one's kind of funny.
White men have committed atrocious acts of murder in the last 10 years in America.
Proportionally, far fewer.
But how
far
many?
fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
You have a research team. You pull it up.
I mean, you're very big
on.
You're obviously extremely exercised by that one story, which was horrific, for the record, absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offenses and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience.
No, because he did not look up the information because it doesn't fit his narrative. And this is what I was talking about. I didn't look up the information because he said, I didn't look up the information because I know from experience. Okay, so now it's okay to go by experience. But when it came to Black people, you're like, oh, yeah, well, the data says this. So this is the grift of Nick Fuentes. And hopefully after this debate here with Piers Morgan, hopefully people will stop doing this. Hopefully people will stop bringing him on. This guy just says whatever comes out of his mouth and people just eat it up and just fall for it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now you don't need stats. Now you don't need data. You just going by experience. If people can't see through this, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. It's very easy to see this. Now, let's go to the next part. Let's get to the women. Let's get to the women part. I think this is the part right about here. Let's go ahead and bring this in.
For years, my ancestors, your kids who are so
Oh, wait, the minority part. Then we'll get to the women.
Empathetic and compassionate. They're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country. And these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the Jews.
How many Christians are there?
In Gaza, it's against whites.
How many Christians are there in the world?
Let me pause here for a second. This is what I was warning people about. There are some of these accounts, and I've seen them also on X, where they're calling out Israel for what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. I've seen a number of them do that. But they're saying that there's supremacy there, that is, Zionism, Jewish supremacy. Right. But they're also advocating for a different type of supremacy. Because Nick Fuentes is advocating for white supremacy here in the United States. But he's calling out the supremacy that Israel is doing. So this is where I want people to be careful. Don't get so hooked on, don't get so focused on, okay, we got to let's go for everybody that calls out Israel, to the point where you don't take the time to look and see what this person's agenda really is. Because if you're calling out what Israel is doing and you're calling that supremacy, but at the same time, you are advocating for another form of supremacy, you're a fraud. And I call it like I see it. And any Nick Fuentes stands, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Nick Fuentes don't pay none of my bills. This is the game. This is the grift that people are not paying attention to. Sometimes people will go so far as to tell you it's this group of people that is the problem, to then lean you over to their idea that we just need to have a different type of supremacy for our people and only for us. And that's what Nick Fuentes is doing. 2, let's get to this point here about white people becoming the minority. Well, according to you, Nick Fuentes, there's no such thing as systemic racism. These things don't exist. According to you, that's not a problem. So if white people are becoming the minority, what's the issue? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that, I don't know, black people are going to treat you the same way that you've treated us? Because according to you, those things don't happen. So you shouldn't be afraid. What's the problem? Aye.
Whoa. Like me.
1 point some billion.
Yeah,
2 billion.
How many Jews are there?
15 million.
Okay. So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun by the Jewry, by 15 million people, when there are over 1 billion Christians. There is a genocide of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say,
who am I losing to?
White people,
who am I losing to?
White people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it.
So, see, this is where he couldn't push back on the question. So he's like, see, this is why you're losing. There's no genocide of white people. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's get to the women. Again, this is why, you pull this up here. This is a big part I think people need to hear, because this is why I think, sorry, I was just looking at the time. This is why I think you have to be careful, because some of these people who are calling out the genocide that Israel is doing, and rightfully so, I think all of us agree with that. But some of these people are taking it a step further, and now they're saying, well, the white people are being genocided here in the United States. So pay attention and be careful not to get caught up in that nonsense. Let's get to the women part. I couldn't believe Pierce went here.
We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land. Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years. And then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe. So you could say there's 2 billion people, but what's the proportionality? What is the percentage of people being born that are white? Where's the arrow pointing? Where are we going to be in 50 years?
But according to you, Nick Fuentes, if you're worried about that happening, then why are you advocating for telling people, these women are not to get with these women? That's why I said his logic doesn't make any sense. And again, what are you afraid of? If these things don't exist, if there's no systemic issues, as you say there isn't, then why are you afraid of being in a minority? Why? We're going to get to the women part. I'm sorry, you guys. I have to go to the, I don't know why I can't see it on here. On the other one, I could actually see the transcript. Okay, it gets to this part right here.
Really, you've talked about this. You've talked about.
Are we done talking about white genocide?
Well, no, I'm coming to the same part, because you seem very resistant to the idea of marriage. You've never got married. You've talked very scathingly about henpecked husbands. Just take a look.
That's true. Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like, they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like, you're fat, you're chubby, you're not as hot as you think you are. You fucking talk too much. You're a bitch.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen misogyny part of that a little later. But I'm just curious. On the one hand, there's this terrible genocide going on of white people. On the other hand, you want people effectively to stop going near women because they all turn out to be so ghastly. So they shouldn't presumably procreate. So how does that work? I mean,
that's what I've been saying. I don't understand how people fall for this.
You, with your rhetoric, actively encouraging men not to associate with these ghastly women, therefore not have any more children. Therefore, you are contributing, Nick Fuentes, to the diminishing white population. I'm confused.
We got to drop the beat on that one because it's a fucking grift, Pierce. That's why we got to drop the beat on that one. We'll do under pressure.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever.
A moment can live on forever. Let's hear what he says.
I tell my followers to get married all the time. I tell them that it's best for everybody to get married. And I think that's the only way that you can have sex. I think that's the only licit way as a Catholic, as you know, to have sex is within marriage.
Why don't you get married?
I'll get married later. It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want to have kids and a wife. You know, my wife would be screaming about that. Me, you know, I have to be able to take risks and be able to say these things. It's difficult to bring a family into a life that's like that. But for my followers, I tell them to get married. But what's happening with women?
You literally just told.
But what's happening with women? So let me explain something to you guys, right? Nick Fuentes is full of shit. He presents himself as someone who's very confident and I know what I'm talking about, etc. But deep down inside, Nick Fuentes don't even like his own damn self. I've met people like this before. Nick Fuentes does not like his own self. He don't. That's why he hates on everybody else. That's why he calls out, he hates on women. That's why he says all this stuff about black people and all this type of stuff. He doesn't like himself. You can't like yourself when you have that much hate. So this whole thing, Jesus Christ, all those young men listening to Nick Fuentes, holy crap, just go get laid. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever said that on the show before. Go get laid. Go find a girl. Go date. Go to the movies. Go to concerts. Go to dances. Go have fun. Go date and go get laid. Write that down. Everybody write it down. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. You are wasting your life and your time just sitting back there like, Nick Fuentes said, go get laid. And you can tell them Sabby sent you. I don't care. This is stupid. This is so freaking stupid.
Your followers, hang on. In that clip, you literally told followers, women, they get old, they get fat, they get ugly, they get very annoying. So where's the incentive to get married to women? There isn't one. You're actively telling them the opposite. You're extrapolating a lot. We can complain. Just quoting you back yourself again.
No, but you're extrapolating and saying, well, you say women are annoying, so therefore, what's the incentive? We have to do it in spite of the fact that they are annoying. We have to do it in spite of the fact that they talk too much. We can get them to lose weight. We can put them on peptides. We can get them to the promised land, but it's going to be
Do you think this view of women may be why none of them...
So notice the weight comments, like talking about the women being overweight. You can get them to this and get them to that. This coming from Nick Fuentes. Because Nick Fuentes is out here talking as if he's like Fabio or somebody. Like, sorry. But he's talking as if he's like some male model or like he got some type of beach bod out there. Get the fuck out of here, man. I can't believe people let him go on for this long and not talk to him the way that I just said, what I said. I can't believe people don't even say, just look at this guy and say, get the fuck out of here, man. He's on here talking like he's some damn looker. That's what drives me crazy. And a bunch of people are falling for this stuff. That's why I said to all these young guys, go get a girlfriend. Go have fun. Get off the computer with that guy and go get a girlfriend. That's why you can't get a date. Because you listening to this motherfucker. Because he can't get nobody. He can't get laid. So he don't want you to go get laid. That's why you single. Jesus Christ.
Want to go near you.
Oh, you should see my DMs. It is quite the opposite. They're called the groibettes, and I'm actually batting them away. Granted, not all of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive.
Are you actually?
You'd be
Just to
very
clear
wrong
up, just to
about
clear
that.
up one of the many theories about you. I have no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay.
No, but I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely.
Absolutely not, of course. They are difficult to be around. Did he get to the sex part yet? Oh, okay, maybe. Let's see.
Not.
They should stay at home.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
See, basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the
Yeah.
boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women
I'm a
grow
fossil.
old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
Yes. Oh my God. I never thought I would cheer on Piers Morgan, but yes, that's the part right there. You have all these young guys who's listening to this guy about women and sex and dating and all this stuff, who's single and has never gotten laid. And I'm glad Piers Morgan said it that way. Yes, you have never gotten laid. So shut the fuck up. Okay? I'm cussing a lot today. Just be quiet. You ain't never got laid. But this guy claims to know so much about women. You ain't got no damn woman. You ain't got no damn woman. Let me tell you guys something, a little tip here for the guys who may be in a relationship. Do not take advice about women from your single male friends. Same thing to women. Don't take advice from, what the fuck do they know? They're single. I don't understand why people fall for this. And it don't make no damn sense. This guy, no girlfriend, never got laid, but he got all this advice for you about how to deal with women. Let me know how that work out. And then you wonder why you single. Because you've been listening to this troll. There's a lot of contradictions here, guys, which this debate here with Piers Morgan really did expose. And a number of things I noticed too is that some of Nick Fuentes' followers, the religious followers, they just go along and say, yeah, Nick, good job, good job. They're not even listening to what is being said. He contradicts himself multiple times in this debate. That's not a follower. That is a cult. Hell, even some of my viewers will tell me when they don't agree with me. Good. It should be that way. But when people just going along with everything you say, when you just sat there multiple times, you contradicted yourself about crime. You contradicted yourself about, oh, I only want to be around white people. You contradicting yourself about women. You constantly contradicting yourself. And for your followers to just go along with it in the live chat, which I saw because I saw this live, to go along with you in the live chat, like, yeah, he's killing it. Nick's doing a great job. No. These are a bunch of sexually repressed men, and they've been kept that way because they've been listening to this jackass. Get out the house. Get away from Nick. Jesus Christ. I don't even know what to say. I feel sorry, for the younger men today. And I don't know who the young women listening to, but for the younger men, I feel sorry for them that this is who they are listening to. Now, I don't believe in deplatforming, so I ain't gonna say people need to get off the interwebs. I don't believe in that, but I do believe that I think these guys need to get out the house. Get out the fucking house. Same guy that set up here, said all this stuff about black people and violence was one of the people at, what was it, January 6th? Wasn't he telling the people, let's go storm the Capitol? Same guy, right? Mm-hmm. So there are some people who have found a lane in podcasting space. And what they basically do is that they found a way to bullshit people. And that's what he does. He just says anything. And what people will see is like, yeah, sometimes he has some good points about like, listen, you know, when he said like MAGA was dead, he was right about that. But just because he was right about one thing doesn't mean he right about every damn thing that he say. And that's how you know it's a cult. So I do think a lot of people have been duped by Nick Fuentes, just like people were duped by Donald Trump. And ideally, what we really should be advocating for, we should be advocating for people to go out and discover what you want in the world. Step outside of your house. Take them damn headphones off for once. Go to the gym. Go meet girls in person instead of listening to someone who don't have a girl. That's what I say. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.